Hi, everybody. It is the 114th live Monica Makes It Happen Facebook show from home, New York City, my home. And I am so excited about tonight's show. That's because, well, first of all, the guests. I have Kathy Renna, Google her. You want to find out about her, and Felipe Masonette. He's going to be a mover and shaker, but we're talking about Pride Month. And it's so exciting to talk about, well, first of all, historical value, but we want to talk about how are you going to celebrate this year? It's the first time in 50 years we're not going to have a parade. I've been to the parade so many times. I'm so bummed that it's not going to happen, but I understand why. And, the bottom line is it's really the historical value of June 28th, 1969, the Stonewall riots, and remembering the sacrifice of those that came before fighting for LGBTQ rights. And that's the essence of why we have Pride during June, right, Kathy? But the feeling is going to be completely different, but we're still going to be pushing for social justice, right?
I think a couple things. Yes, absolutely continue the fight. I think one of the really interesting ironies is that the Stonewall uprising happened because of police brutality and police harassment of the patrons of the Stonewall Inn. And the other piece of this that's really important that I think people are making connections around is that the early spark of the LGBTQ rights movement was led by trans and queer people of color, especially trans women like Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera and Stormy DeLaveray. And that's our community's history. And last year, when we had World Pride here in New York City and we had 5 million people, we had a huge platform and a chance to really educate not just the world,
but 5 million. It was 5 million. That's the biggest parade that New York City sees, right? I mean, I've been to the parade many times myself, and I've heard millions, of course, but 5 million. Wow. And I'm glad you brought that up. It was the historical importance and the social justice aspect of it. It was 6 days of protests, right? 6 days of riots. And what it did was it really changed the trajectory of everything, just the bravery of young people now. And we see that now, right, Kathy?
Mm-hmm. Sure. I mean, I've been to so many protests in the last month. And, the interesting thing about it is that for me, that is how I sort of show my pride, is that it's important that we still get out in the streets and be visible. I've been to protests that have been Black Lives Matter protests that have been incredibly diverse in terms of who's attending. I've also been to a couple of protests here in North Jersey, where I live, near Montclair, where we've had queer BLM protests, where we're really trying to lift up what is an epidemic of violence against particularly trans women of color. And it's something we've been talking about for years that is maybe finally going to get the kind of attention that it deserves.
Yeah, it feels like now is the time. It just feels like the energy is here. And speaking of energy, Felipe, oh my goodness, he is amazing. His story is going to get you. He just graduated from LaGuardia Community College. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I was so happy for you. And you are really becoming such a, look, there he is. Look at that. You have a wonderful smile, first of all. And you were saying, it's been tough. It's been tough because you have faced discrimination. You have faced everything. And despite all the odds, here you are. Here you are, a champion of change.
Yes, I thank you so much for having me. And it's a pleasure to meet Kathy as well. It's been since young, I've dealt with, prejudice and the stigmas of being gay, and so being a Latin man too, I come from a background, being Puerto Rican, from a very hypermasculine and machismo culture as well. Beautiful as it may be, there are certain things that I've had to really understand that wasn't really good for humankind, right? And so as for myself, my mother being a huge feminist, who unfortunately, died from AIDS when I was 16, she really taught me the importance of community and to really stand up when you're dealing with adversity. And because of her love and also finding people in my community, trans people, all types of people from the LGBTQ, I realized that we all had something in common. It was that we wanted family, right? And because many of us are usually thrown out of our homes or not given jobs or opportunities, I wanted to fight for that. And so that's why I push myself to be in institutions so that I can help change the institutions and help people understand that we too are part of this world and we make up a lot of these beautiful things that we're just a part of, right? And so we just want to be included. We want inclusion. We want not just equality, but equity, right?
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
yeah, and I
Can
stand
I
strong.
just say, Felipe, your mama would be proud. That's all I have to say. I had a
Thank you so
Hispanic
much.
mother too that I lost, and I just feel like she's always watching. And Shirley says, Felipe, she loves you.
Oh,
Cynthia says, hey. Lenise says, ooh, yes, Felipe.
the
So you're getting
professor,
a lot of
actually.
good love, and they're proud of you. They're proud of your journey. Now,
Thank you.
Kathy, I mean, what does pride mean to you? What is the essence of pride for you? Uh-oh, I think you're muted.
Here I go. Here I am. For me, pride is still about the same thing it was. From the first Pride I went to. I'm a New York City, Queens native, and as a teenager, it's about understanding that you're part of something bigger. It's about knowing that you're not alone. As Felipe was saying, there are far too many of us that grow up in houses where we are rejected, where we're not loved unconditionally. I was very blessed with a huge and incredibly accepting family. And so, I understand how important it is to do this work every year. Pride is a lot of things. It's something different for everyone, but it can be part protest, it can be part celebration. But at the end of the day, I think understanding that you're part of something bigger and that you're not alone, especially
Yeah,
that.
that's so well said. That pretty much is the essence of it. Felipe, what does pride mean to you? And first, speak directly to young people who might be watching who don't feel accepted, who are right now facing discrimination, who have households that may not accept them for who they are. Speak directly to them, Felipe.
Yes, to my beautiful young people out there, um, you are not alone. Thank you, Kathy, for saying that. You are not alone. And because of the people before us who have fought for us, like Kathy and Marsha and Hector Extravaganza, you know, reach out to resources. It's important to understand that there are resources. There are so many nonprofit and places you can go to, like The Door or Gay Men's Health Crisis or Hedrick Martin and so on and so forth. So reach out, young people. There are so many people out there who want to help you. I'm here for you. The House of Maisonnette, which hopefully will be jumping off in the future. And
we gotta tell people you graduated from LaGuardia Community College, you top of your game, and you were the keynote speaker, and you were starting an organization to help other men just like yourself, men and women.
Yes, absolutely. And marginalized groups, right? Specifically, of course, LGBTQIA and those with disabilities. Reason why is I want to open up my own house, and that's where we're doing that now in the ballroom community. And it's also to just bring a lot of young people who are really marginalized and dealing with disparities to find a place they can call home. We need love, we need acceptance, and we need support. So, growing up from what I've been through, I have a little grit, right? And so I have a little bit of the grit, but then I also have learned with my education that I can do more, right? So hopefully offering resources like professional development and maybe some monies for books and food. So, the House of Maisonnette is something that I'm really passionate about, and I have children now, I have mentees now that look up to me and that I look up to as well. I tell you, I need them as much as they need me because they bring me so much joy, so much love. And that's what it's about. Pride is about love and really being a community. And I just,
Kathy, I have to go to Kathy and ask her about the love part, because you have to love yourself before you love others, right? And I guess, is that the lesson here? This pride is where we're just loving our community and everyone embracing us, but we're loving ourselves first.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I think we all have to look to ourselves. And I always say that internalized homophobia, which we're all taught as kids, whether it's sexism, racism, homophobia, hate is a learned behavior. And so I think it's so important that, these are not really times to, I think, celebrate with a capital C. I mean, we had a recent Supreme Court decision that was groundbreaking, probably more important than the marriage equality decision in so many ways, because it affects us in our employment. I mean, being able to have a job and be out is something that a lot of people could not do prior to this court decision last week.
I'm glad you mentioned it, Kathy.
Yeah, I mean, participating in all the different ways we can in Pride, and even though we're doing it a little differently this year.
I was going to say, perfect transition, Kathy. How are you going to celebrate safely? We got to wear masks. Somebody just mentioned masks. Can we celebrate with masks? Like, how do you do it safely? How are you celebrating this year?
Well, I mean, I'm working a lot. Pride's always, but that is celebrating. I'm gonna have a mask on when I go to the Pride office tomorrow and on Sunday, and anytime I'm out in the street. But there's also so much out there in the virtual space now. I mean, I think that the LGBT community is one that really took the internet and ran with it when it really first became a thing, because we know what it's like to be in isolation. And now, of course, the world is experiencing isolation, but LGBTQ people have always used the internet as a way to connect, whether it's
Felipe,
with.
again, she just had a nugget there. That's so true. Felipe, how are you celebrating?
Yeah, we do Zoom meetings. We're having, of course, we just have our own groups, but you can also go to the LGBT network in Long Island City. They have a lot of online stuff where you can see fabulous drags who are, in need of work. So they're out there putting themselves out there so that the network can help support a lot of the entertainers and those that are out there, and also support groups. There are a lot of support groups out there that you can go to.
Can I just read Yana? Yana's comment says, celebrate by helping to save Stonewall. It's actions, right? Actions. Give to a local organization that supports the activism that you appreciate. These are actions that you can actually do, right?
Absolutely.
And we have to end with a message of hope. Kathy, someone watching, give them a message of hope this Pride Month.
Well, the thing that's made me most hopeful in the last month is just looking out the window and seeing literally thousands of people walking together for justice. And, President Obama said this in a talk several weeks ago. If you looked at the folks who were out in the streets initially in the 60s for the civil rights movement, you saw a smattering of white people. But now if you look out and you see the streets filled with people who are demanding justice and equality, it looks like America. It looks like the entire rainbow, every ethnicity, every age group, every orientation, every gender identity. And to me, in all of this challenge that we're experiencing, whether it's COVID, whether it's economic turn down, whether it's the horrifying circumstances around the death of George Floyd and so many others, I think there is some hope in all of this, in the way people are saying enough, and people are banding together and talking to each other in ways I don't really think we ever have before.
Felipe?
I love that. Jumping off of what Kathy said, President Obama said, we did not come here to fear the future, we came to shape it. And that's what we're doing right now as we speak. So thank you, Monica, and thank you, Kathy, because I think that when we stand up for each other and speak up, right? I think it's important, speak up with love, with assurance, and we are here. We're here to stay, and we're here to love, and that's the hope. The hope is that we all get together and unite.
Oh my gosh. Elle, my producer, thank you so much for arranging this. And Kathy and Felipe, I think a lot of people are falling in love with you. I've fallen in love with you, Felipe and Kathy. Thanks for everything that you do. And we're going to keep fighting the good fight. Right, Kathy and Felipe? Right.
Yes. Kathy.